You thought I fell off? You're smoking something.
Sports Tips Vids. I am Marcus J. Richardson. I've been away for a couple of weeks. I've been a bit busy, but here I am to give you a few tips for this weekend's football. Now, there's a few big games this weekend. The first one I'm going to start with is Liverpool versus Manchester City, or Manchester City versus Liverpool, should I say, because it is at Main Road. It's not Main Road. You know what it's called. City of Manchester Stadium, Etihad Stadium, Commonwealth Stadium, 2002 Stadium, the Turtlehead Stadium. I don't know. Whatever it's called. Manchester City are at home to Liverpool. Big game. Pep Guardiola versus Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, most of you know I'm a Liverpool fan. I've not been massively happy with Klopp's dealings in the transfer window. Everyone's like, oh, but you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain. Yes, but we haven't got any central defenders, which is the key problem. Now, we're always going to leak goals. Manchester City, I don't think will be any different. In fact, I think Manchester City are going to score quite a few. Can we equal them? Well, it's a tough one. The odds are on the side there for the three different bets for a Liverpool win, a Manchester City win, and a draw, which is what I'm going to go for. Personally, I do think this is going to be a score draw. Have a shop around. There are all sorts of goal-scoring odds available as well. But I think the chances are a draw. It's up to you. Not a lot of value in the bet. And it's a difficult one to throw in the accumulator because it could go either way. But I do fancy that game to be a draw. A score draw, to be precise. Because the last thing that's going to be is a 0-0. Going to be a 0-0 now, isn't it? But it's a 0-0. Moving on for my Super Saturday bet involving Arsenal, Spurs and Chelsea. Three of them have got tough games this weekend, and to be honest, I'm not sure whether all three of these are going to win, but I know a lot of you fancy a bet on the big boys. Arsenal, they're at home to Bournemouth. Now, on paper, that should be an easy win for Arsene Wenger's men, but look what's been happening lately. Arsenal are in turmoil. Lots of people are screaming, Arsenal out. Lots of people are saying, Ars. You know, there's lots of things going on there. So when they turned up at Anfield, that was not a team that's going to finish in the top four. Can Arsene Wenger get his men up for this after they lost a few more men in the transfer window and didn't replace them with anyone? What's going to happen this season? Well, pardon me. Sorry about that. Are Arsenal going to come good and sneak fourth like they've done in recent seasons? Or are they going to struggle and maybe finish sixth or even worse? Lots of people are saying that they may not even get into the top six. I, on the other hand, think that they are going to turn it around. They didn't get the players in that they wanted. They bid for Lamar. Lamar didn't fancy it. There was a lot of poorly handled transfers with Arsenal this summer, but they did keep Alexis Sanchez and Ozil, who will probably be on their way at the end of next year, but they've got them for now. Can they get them up for these games? They're at home to Bournemouth. You know, if they don't score early doors against Bournemouth, the crowd are going to be on their backs, but I do think they will, and I think Arsenal are going to get the win this week, and I think they're going to start the turnaround. If they don't, as I say, Arsenal out, it's got to be. It's got to be, because if they don't, then Arsenal's season could be going down the pan. On the other hand, they get a convincing win and everything's rosy. All will be forgiven momentarily. Spurs, on the other hand, they've not had the most convincing of starts, but they've not started too bad. Wembley's always going to be a tricky one for them, but I do think they'll come good eventually. This weekend, they're away. They're away to Everton, though. Everton, they've bought very well. Koeman's got them playing well, but it's September. It's time for Kane. He scored for England 1st of September. I fancy him to bag a couple of goals this weekend. I think Tottenham are going to be convincing against Everton. And I think it's going to be the first time Everton are going to come up against a team that are really going to push them that extra mile. So for me, Tottenham are going to win that one. The other game that is going to be tough for one of the big boys is Chelsea. They are away to Leicester. Leicester are going to be no pushovers. They've done all right, but they did sign Adrian Silva on the final day, but were 14 seconds past the deadline and have not been allowed to ratify that transfer. So technically, he's not allowed to play until January. Tough one. It's now raining and my camera's getting wet. Bear with me. So it was raining. I've put an umbrella on the camera, which took me about 15 minutes using a tie. And now it's stopped raining. Fun times. Anyway, where were we? Super Saturday. Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs. 3 tough games for them. Well, Arsenal shouldn't be, but, you know, at the moment, every game's a tough game for Arsenal. So there are the odds. If you fancy the 3 of them, not a lot of value in that. To be honest, stick a couple of quid on it, you get yourself a tenner. Not the best bet, but there's something there in it if you do fancy those 3. But if I'm honest, I don't think it's going to come off that one. Okay, before I move on to Sunday, I'm going to give you my £1 special. £1 special. £1 special. Yes, the £1 special, which came in a couple of weeks ago on the Championship. This time we're in the Premiership, and I'm going for 3 draws. £1 will get you over 50 quid for 3 draws. Brighton at home to West Bromwich Albion. West Brom haven't been scoring lots of goals. Brighton desperately need a win, and to be honest, I fancy that one to be a draw. Southampton at home to Watford. Southampton did score some goals at home last time they played, but I still fancy this one to be a bore draw. Watford under Marco Silva, I do fancy to do all right this season, and I think they're going to cancel each other out. And I think Southampton they're just not quite there yet. Can they keep bringing in new managers and doing well? I don't know. San Pellegrino. I'm not sure what's going on here. All right, Steve. Oh, Cat's just come to join me. I'm not sure whether Southampton are going to be able to keep up that form, and I think Watford will cancel them out. I think that one will be a draw. Cat's gone. And finally, this is the big one. This is what sends the odds into the next stratosphere. This is the one that makes the odds big. This is the one that makes this bet interesting. Stoke at home to Manchester United. I fancy that one to be a draw as well. What are you talking about? That's the Liverpool head in you. I know, possibly, potentially, but it makes it quite an interesting bet on why I'd only throw a quid on it. You have Stoke in there, who, to be honest, under Mark Hughes, know Manchester United quite well. They have challenged United in recent seasons and put up a good game against them in most cases, and I think this will be no different at the Britannia. I think the United players who have all come back after international duty may struggle, and I think it's going to be a draw. More hope, but we'll go with it. So, for Saturday's £1 special, I'm going to say Brighton at home to West Brom, draw. Southampton at home to Watford, draw. And the evening game, Stoke at home to Manchester United, a draw. Those three, as you see, stick a pound on it, over 50 quid. Not bad odds. I'd take that. I'm just here to give you some interesting bets for you to make your weekend a little bit more exciting instead of just watching the football, just hoping your team wins. Final bet for this weekend is from Sunday. Now, Sunday, there's a couple of games there on Sunday. A lot of people not really that interested in this weekend Sunday's games, but the teams, if you support one of these teams, they are big games. Burnley are at home to Crystal Palace. Frank de Boer, what's going on there? They are in real trouble if they don't get a result this weekend, and to be honest, I think you might see the first sacking if Burnley get the win. Burnley were at home. They couldn't buy a win away last season. We saw what they did at Chelsea. Burnley, I think they might do all right. I think they might get mid-table this season. Sean Dyche has had his team in the Premiership for a few years now. Admittedly, they did get relegated after the first season, but they've bounced back. They've stayed up, and I think Sean Dyche has got a good formula this season, and I think they're going to beat Palace. 1-0, nothing too convincing, but I think they're going to grind out a result 1-0, maybe 2-1, and I think that may be the end for Frank de Boer, who many people were talking about going to a bigger club. He's gone to Palace, and he's really struggled. He has brought in Mamadou Sakho, who, if given time, and if he can get past this weekend, I think will prove a great acquisition for Palace. I'm disappointed that Klopp couldn't sort his business out with Sakho and keep him at Liverpool, especially with our defensive situation at the moment. But so be it. He's gone to Palace for like 25 million, and he will be decent once he's match fit. But I'm not sure whether it's going to be quick enough for this weekend, and I fancy Burnley to get the win. The other game on Sunday, Swansea at home to Newcastle. Now, Swansea did well on the last day of the transfer. They got in Renato Sanchez from Bayern Munich. Paul Clement using his Ancelotti contacts to bring in Renato Sanchez, who I think is going to be a great player. I'm surprised not one of the bigger teams didn't go and get him. I'd have liked him at Liverpool. Well, let's see how he does at Swansea. Will it be too soon for him to turn on the style? We will find out. They also brought in Wilfred Boney. Well, the last thing is he's Boney. He looks overweight at the moment for me. And I think it's going to be too soon for Wilfred Brony. Hey, Jabroni! I think it's going to be a bit too soon for Wilfred Boney to work any magic. He might come on from the bench, but we'll probably see Tamir Abrahams doing his magic. Or not, if you go with what I think is going to happen. They're playing Newcastle. Rafa Benitez is going to be furious with the players he's struggled to bring in, or the lack of players he's brought in. His relationship with... All right, Steve. My cat's just... ran off a little bit mental. The players he struggled to bring in are going to have caused a little bit of friction for me at the club, and I'll be surprised if Rafa Benitez doesn't walk before long. I'm surprised he hasn't already walked, but we shall see what happens. Now, oddly, as a result of that, I think it's going to be a draw. I think Newcastle the players are going to be up for it. They're going to want to prove to Rafa Benitez that they can stand the test of time and hold their own in the Premiership. And therefore, I think it's going to be 1-1, and I think that game's going to be a draw. So, if you fancy Burnley to get the win, you fancy that one to be a draw, here are your odds. I know a lot of you will be going, well, everything you've just said is screaming out for a Swansea win. So if you fancy a Swansea win and a Burnley win, I'm also going to include that odds right there now. So lots for you to have a think about there, guys. As you can see, the fixtures down below, they will be showing you the middle one is for a draw. The odds either side are for those teams to win. So if you fancy a bet on those, you can have a look there as well. Hopefully, these have been quite useful for you. The £1 special has a good return this week. But remember, bet responsibly when the fun stops. Stop, guys. Like, I know I'm not advertising anything, but gambling, it's one of those things. If you whack loads of money on it, you lose loads of money, you feel like a massive penis. So just don't do that. And just bet sensibly. A couple of quid here or there is all you need to do. And if it comes in, you get yourself a nice little bit of beer money, or pie money in my case. Whatever you're into, we're all into different stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and share on all the usual social media places, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and whatnot. I've been Marcus J. Richardson. I'll still be Marcus J. Richardson. See you soon.